Good evening. How you doing, campers? A session so nice, we had to do it twice. Thank you. Thank you so much for your energy and enthusiasm, because it is so rare to find people who love assessment as much as I do. What is wrong with you? So, let's talk about testing. But first, hi. My name is Jason, and I'm the Senior Product Manager for the Canvas platform, and I focus on assessment. I've been with Instructure for about a little over a year, a variety of years in education technology as well as higher ed. I used to teach pharmacy practice for a while, and then I moved to the dark side in education technology. I'm just kidding. I love what I do because I get to solve problems that help affect education around the world, and that's so cool. So, I'm also a Libra, by the way. What are we talking about today? We're talking about the evolution of testing inside of Canvas, a brand new set of tools that will be made available to you over the course of the next several months, including a nice sneak peek that I'll talk about in a little bit later. But before I begin, I would be remiss not to not recognize the people who really make this possible. You know, I conduct the research, I develop the strategy, and I help come up with the vision. But the real people who make this possible are the team who mostly couldn't be here today. So I would like to first recognize our team lead, Chris Wang, who's with us. Thank you, Chris. And then, of course, I'd also like to recognize Ryan Taylor, who's one of our principal technical lead on the project. And then there's the team who just couldn't join us today. And that's Brian Petty, a software engineer, Mike Nomich, Davis McClellan, Mark Phillips, Ben Reinica, Sterling Cobb. They're all our software engineers. And then we have our quality assurance or testing engineers. We've got Mikey Hargis, Indira Pai, Robin Kuss, and then our amazing designers who have developed the UI that you'll see today, Mark McClellan and Danon Clark. And then the man who helps us stay all on task and really execute, our program manager, Nick Nelson. And then 3 amazing engineering interns who are contributing some great code and have helped build some of the item types that you'll see in the new testing engine that we'll talk about today. So team, thank you so much for all your work. So when we look at a testing engine, we have to figure out, why the heck are we doing this? Well, to put it short, we're bringing the sexy back to testing. And we really think about modernization, simplicity, and elegance. We want to affect the underlying technology and improve that, rethink the design interaction, and then have the best darn user experience in the industry. So when we think about modernization, we think about the technology that supports the tools. And so that includes Rails, Ruby, Postgres, React, and then, as you know, we are very dedicated to the open source standards overseen by the IMS Global Learning Consortium. We are building Quizzes.Next as a LTI application, and then we will use the QTI 2.2 standard for question and test interoperability. So we're moving up to a new standard, and we'll seek certification for that in early 2017. So we are focusing heavily on ensuring that we meet the open standards and contributing to that open theme that you've heard about so much over the course of this week here in Keystone. And then, of course, we want to make sure that we are scalable, we are performant, so that way when you want to give a 200 question test to 1,500 students, you can. And we're going to make sure that that's going to work. So performance, scalability, lots of great improvements around how the overall fundamental operations of Quizzes is being affected by our new design, because it's a ground-up build. Brand new, totally green project. We're not refactoring anything. We started with 0 lines of code, and 18,000 plus man hours later, I'm happy to show you where we are today. Then we think about simplicity. What do we do well today? Well, we still have a stellar user interface. It's simple, You can easily create questions, deliver those questions to students, and then gather great data from the quiz statistics that we provide to you, those industry standard psychometric data points, like the point by serial correlation coefficient, difficulty discrimination, top 27 and bottom 27% performers, answer distribution, correct and incorrect. So all of those very powerful pieces of information that help us as instructors understand where our students are in their learning process. But then we also have opportunity to improve, and so that's why we're building from the ground up with a great new user interface. We're also looking at how we stand apart. How can we continue to disrupt and affect education in positive ways? And so when we look at this, we think about other testing engines and other solutions on the market. Some don't have, some offer a cluttered UI. You have to click save every time you select an answer. Too many clicks to even author or create a question. Some solutions don't even have item banks. And we want to make sure that we provide a solid user experience for you when you build your tests. And then, a great UI right there. And then we also want to make sure that it's elegant, that you want to use it, that when you author a test and students take it, you're not having to worry about, oh man, I've got to go build a test. We want you to think that when you go into Canvas and use the Quizzes tool, when you build a test, you'll be like, okay, I've got to build a test. No big deal, because it's awesome. We want to take this, and we want to make it look like this. And I think that's what we're going to do today, and I really would love to hear your thoughts at the end of the session on what we show you today. So without further ado, let's go ahead and show you Quizzes 2. And I'll zoom in here to make it a little bit bigger. I hope that's okay. So I am in a course as a teacher, and I'm going to add an assignment. Right now, Quizzes is an LTI assignment object. So I will create a test, or a simple quiz. And I'll scroll down. I've got my points, and there we go, it's a little bit better UI. And then I'll select my LTI link, my tool. We'll give it a due date, and because I'm a cruel teacher, it's due right now. And then we'll go ahead and begin building that test. So here is your new authoring environment, and pay attention to the right-hand toolbar. But first, I'm going to add instructions. And because it's the rich content editor, I can add emphasis and italicize in my instructions. From here, I'm going to select the multiple choice item type, and here is the new template. I can add points, and I'm going to type in a question. Anybody want to venture a guess? Chemistry. So now I've created my simple quiz, and if I want to, I can actually preview it and interact with that item just as a student would. So this is what a student would see. And notice that as I built that question, the item populated on the left-hand item bar, so that way when you build your quizzes, you can see the flow. And then a really great feature that we'll introduce is the ability to drag and drop items. So when you go down and you build your quiz, and question 9 really should have been question 7 in the testing canvas page or on the item bar, you can simply drag and drop them into the correct place. And the other great thing about that is keyboard accessible. So if you can't use a mouse, it's accessible to those who can't, who need to use the keyboard. So I've done building my test. And now I'm going to return to Canvas. So let me then switch over to Canvas as a student. So I'm this particular student. I'm going to access my pharmacy course. I'm going to click on an assignment. And we'll pick a bigger test this time. So I'm going to take my Chapter 3 test on the FDA. Now I'm going to go ahead and start this quiz. And again, we can see here, and I'm a student who doesn't like to take my test in order, so I'm going to click through everything, and I'm going to go down to question 8. So I click on item 8, and the test will scroll down to that item. And so we'll go ahead and answer all these questions. Anybody want to venture a guess for question number 3? Actually, it's the Food and Drug Act, 1906. The Food and Drug and Cosmetic Act came in 1938, which is when medications had to be proven safe. And then, of course, we all know the answer to the Bureau of Chemistry. So I'm going to submit my quiz. And it's auto-graded. And of course, I got 100%. Yay. So there we go. So this is the feedback that the student sees. So you see it's a very simple, more elegant way that students are presented feedback when a test is graded inside of Canvas. And then, of course, I can simply return to Canvas as a student. So going back to my instructor experience, I can actually view this attempt inside the speed grader. And what I'll do here is go to a student who didn't do as well, so you can see what some incorrect answers look like. So this is what a student who got incorrect answers would look like. We see the correct answer, and then their selected but incorrect answer. I can adjust points, I can add a comment, and all of that is within Canvas. And if you hadn't seen the new refresh speed grader, it's in beta today, which is pretty cool. So I'll go back to my course. And there you have it. There's our initial implementation of Quizzes 2. What do you think? Great, great. So if you haven't been by the UX Lounge, and I'm sure it's closed by now since this is the last presentation of the conference, you could have signed up to get access to the beta instance, or the trial instance of Quizzes. However, you still have an opportunity to please contact your CSM if you'd like to have access to the sandbox environment where we have what you've seen today made available. So simply contact your CSM. It's a limited sandbox. We'll try and get as many people in as possible. The sandbox will start rolling out access on Monday, and then that trial period will last until August 31st. In which case, after that, we will take all of the information that we've gathered from the comments inside of the instance, as well as the focus group, to which any beta participant will be invited. And you will then, we'll take all that information, retool, and continue to release more exciting things over the next several months. So with that trial or beta MVP experience, what is available? Well, it's what you saw today, which is integration as an LTI assignment of our new testing tools, quiz authoring, the delivery of a quiz, the multiple choice item type, the auto grading of that item type, and then passing that grade back into the gradebook. So when you do get access, please feel free to invite students using the open enrollment tool. We'd love to see all of that data flow on the back end to make sure we can really deliver an amazing product for you. But just remember, though, that this is a trial thing. This is a trial instance. And so the data that is created in that beta sandbox is not permanent. So please don't use it for anything that's a part of a course record. Use it for fun, play with it. But after August 31st, all of that data will go away. So where do we go from here? What's next? What other things are we working on inside of this project? So let me show you a few things, and I think you'll be really excited because we're really looking at a total redesign of everything. including all of our question types. So here's an example of our new true-false item type. And you'll be able to vary points by answer, like you can on a multiple choice question. On a multiple choice question, you'll be able to vary points by answer. You'll be able to align individual test items to learning outcomes. So that way, when you want to look at the holistic and granular capture of measurement of learning inside of your courses, we will have the ability to include all of that data inside of the Learning Mastery Gradebook and other reports and new reports that we'll provide to you as a part of the tool set. So you would align individual learning outcomes to test items. On the multiple choice question, you'll be able to lock answers into place. So whenever you have questions that include all of the above or none of the above, today when you want to shuffle a question, sometimes that answer becomes answer choice A. So you'll be able to lock none of the above in that very final position, and so that way the other distractors shuffle when you randomize or shuffle a test. This is the file upload question. So being able to limit the file types that are available to you that students can upload. Fill in the blank question. Being able to author a question, hover over the blank where you want that information to, where you want the student to respond, and then include and set the way you want that response to be graded. Does it just need to contain this string? Is it an exact match, or is it close enough? And we'll be able to grade all of that for you. We also have that new open-ended item question. So imagine being able to turn off the rich content editor, to be able to give students spell check, to show and enforce a minimum and maximum character count. But then most importantly, when you grade those essays, you'll be able to include notes. Like here are the 5 key points that a student has to hit in order to get full credit for this question. So you'll have an opportunity as instructors to include notes on how to grade this particular item. But we're not stopping there. We're doing lots of amazing things with our items. We're doing brand new item types like hotspot. So in this particular case, the designer loves tennis. So which player here is David Ferrer? So you can use a tool to create the correct answer and then have students select the correct player. Likert scale, mathematics questions, being able to give a response with 50 digits in either side of the decimal place. And then, with the grading option, being able to say, all right, students, I'm going to require you to give an answer that's precise to the 47th decimal place, or rounded to the 17th decimal place if you're a kind-hearted instructor, or give an answer in scientific notation. So lots of great ways to vary the answering possibilities of mathematics questions. Multiple answer, multiple choice, multiple drop-down, open-ended response, ordering, true, false. There'll be lots of drag-and-drop technology implemented in the appropriate places. But then there's something else. There's 2 really cool things here. The first cool thing is that everything that you see here, with the exception of file upload and open-ended response, will have auto-grade and regrade enabled. So that way, whenever we as teachers are fallible, and sometimes we click the wrong button, or the import maybe got messed up or something. We can, when we regrade a question, we can give everyone credit for nearly every item type that we offer today. But the great thing is that we know that we may not always provide you an item type that meets your specific assessment requirements. And so we are going to offer an opportunity in an extension platform to where you and our vendor partners could build your own item type and then plug it into our testing engine and extend the platform to meet your specific assessment requirements. So our platform is not only robust and scalable, but it's also extendable. We're also looking at the student experience. Did I miss something? Anyway, yay. We're also looking at the student experience, so increasing academic integrity and acknowledging academic integrity through things like an honor code. So that way you at the account or sub-account level or even the course level can have the students acknowledge an honor code prior to sitting for an assessment. We're also looking at things like great ways to deliver complex assessment tools inside of Canvas. So imagine being able to embed content on one side of the page with the questions on the other. So have embedded text, pictures, video. So imagine you're a nursing student, and a part of your assessment and some things that you need to do to really understand patient interaction. You have a chart, a video of a patient interaction, and then some maybe handwritten notes and an image that you need to answer questions against. So you'll be able to review all of that content and then answer the associated questions. So you're an art history major, and you want to compare and contrast two varying styles of painting. So you can have multiple images embedded in your page with the associated questions directly next to it. I think that tells a pretty powerful story and how you can deliver high-stakes-like assessment inside of Canvas. The other things we're looking at are how we can better affect the measurement of learning as students progress through their courses. And so how many of you were able to attend Jared Stein's presentation and keynote yesterday? Did you hear about Mastery Pathways? Pretty cool, right? So imagine in a module, you have questions embedded directly into that module, where you have all your content for that module, assignments, discussion board posts, lecture notes, videos, other content. And then to help gauge student preparedness before they move on to the next section of the course, there are 5 standalone questions directly in the page of Canvas. And so you can have students respond to those questions, and then you can incorporate that using either the modules and/or processes or the Mastery Pathways tools, and then have customized progression through courses so students can get remedial or supplemental education information on a concept or move on to the next new piece of content inside of a course. We're also looking at great ways to handle settings. So new and improved settings pages where you can control how answers are shuffled and randomized. You can show one question at a time like you can today. Time limits, allowing multiple attempts. But you know what? It's not always appropriate for a student to immediately take that quiz as soon as they finished it. And so you'll be able to set a minimum time to wait between attempts. So if you want to require a student you want to allow a student to take a quiz again or a test again, but you'll be able to make them wait 20 minutes, 20 hours, 20 days. It's okay. We'll enable that that feature for you. We're also looking at different ways to handle the way feedback is displayed. And have it make great sense in how students have access to the feedback. Do you want them to only see their correct or incorrect answers? Do you want them to see customized feedback that you're able to then give and give for each item, each answer that they've selected, and then provide links to course notes and internal or external tools like a YouTube video? Do you want to only show that feedback after everyone has submitted their quiz, or only after everyone's taken the test, or only after the deadline? Lots of really great ways to show feedback in students. And then of course we take security very seriously, so we'll always continue to have access codes and then of course IP address filtering. We're also rethinking how we handle moderation. So think about moderation, think about this panel really more as a proctoring panel, where you will be able to log into Canvas and view student progress. You'll be able to delete an attempt. Let's say a student has started a test in your course, but the browser crashes. So today you have to give another attempt. Well, we're going to allow you to delete that first attempt and then start over. We're also going to show the multiple attempt history. We're also going to show alerts if there are irregularities detected. So let's say you have a timed quiz, and a student submitted a timed quiz, and it just happens to be more than 2 standard deviations from the mean. It was a 20-minute quiz, and timed, and a student submitted it in 2.5 minutes. Well, something might be a little wrong there. So we're going to empower you with that information so you can make more informed decisions on the integrity of that quiz. And we'll show that in the new attempt log. The attempt logs are also going to be updated to include a lot more valuable information. like the IP address from which the quiz was submitted, the browser information, the operating system information, the passcode that was used. If you want to use the quizzes, the generic one passcode the instructor can set, or maybe even a user-specific passcode that the testing engine will generate for you and then send to the student using the notifications tools. We're also thinking about great new ways to show data, and you saw this slide and this image earlier today in Mitch McFarland's keynote presentation, but how we can provide a great, effective quiz item analysis and statistics to instructors in a way that's far more meaningful. And so we'll continue to offer all of these great data points, the high score, low score, mean score, standard deviation of scores, the time. We'll add the Cronbach alpha to the visualization so you have a really immediate understanding of exam form reliability, distribution of grades. And then since we will enable the ability to align individual learning outcomes to items. We'll also provide information on outcomes mastery. So that way you can see deficiencies that are uncovered by the test that's delivered in your course. So you'll be able to see the overall value, the low score, the mean score, for all of the learning outcomes that are aligned to the items or the test overall. And then, of course, all of the individual item analysis information, difficulty, discrimination, point by serial correlation coefficient, the top and bottom performers, the distribution of answers that were selected during the test, et cetera. So lots of really great, powerful information that we'll provide to you in a great visualization. But of course, sometimes our reports don't meet your individual needs. So you'll also be able to download all of that information and take it with you and do what you need to do with it, just like you can today. But up until now, I've really been talking about the web application. Well, it's important for us to share and to really consider mobile. And so we are designing mobile first. We want to make sure that every student, regardless of the device that they use, not every student has a nice big laptop. Some students use tablets. Some students even just use their phone. And so we want to make sure that our design responds to the device that the student is using when they sit for that assessment. And so our user interface will adapt to meet the needs of whatever device the students are using, whether that's the web application or the persona-specific applications that are on their devices. But there's even so much more that we're talking about today. So much more things that we'd like to do. We've talked about QTI updates. We take accessibility very seriously, and we will continue to make sure that every single student, regardless of ability or disability, has a consistent user experience when taking a test. And we will continue to ensure that we regularly meet and exceed accessibility requirements. We'll also work on things like improved randomization, being able to randomize questions by section, by test, have a randomized test. So you could have one section of purpose-built questions. Everyone gets the same 10 questions. Another section where it's randomized from multiple item banks. So you could have a truly unique exam form for every student. We're also looking at printing. Not every student has a time-based accommodation. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention time-based accommodations. So in the moderation panel, you'll be able to permanently set a time-based accommodation for your student at the beginning of your course and have that remain throughout the entire course. And that feature will be, regardless if it's a multiplier, if you want to give 1.5 times, or if you want to give us an additional 20 minutes, it'll work. But printing, paper-based accommodations, we will provide you with a way to print a properly formatted test. It's not just printing the browser window. It will be a properly formatted test that you can then give to that student and have them respond to the test that way. We're also thinking about different ways we can implement extra credit if that's a part of your grading process. So if you'd like to have a section where you have 10 questions, but there's really 15, answer 10 of these 15 questions, and then the next 5 that you answer could be extra credit. Or have items that are marked solely as extra credit inside of your assessments. We'll work with ways to make that possible for you. Then, of course, improving importing and course copy. You'll be able to import QTI files directly into a quiz or directly into an item bank. And so that way you can more effectively manage your items inside of the testing tools. And then there's item banks. So I taught college for a while, and I taught 5 to 7 sections a semester. And I'd often use similar content across all my courses to have a consistent experience, And sometimes before I'd start teaching a class, I'd review the test for that day or that week. And so I would go in and I'd read the quiz and be like, darn it, I just don't like question number 12. So I'm going to edit question 12. And then I click done. In the new tool set, quizzes will come back and say, hey, Jason, I see that you have just edited question 12. And that question is part of an item bank. Would you like us to push that change to the item bank? Or would you like us to create a new version of that item? Hey, Jason, I see that you're also using this item in 3 of your other courses. Would you like us to push the change to those courses as well? Hey, Jason, you shared that question bank to Commons. Do you want to push the update to Commons as well? So really intelligent item banking. But we're also not only thinking about the way we handle updates, but discovery. So tag your items with learning outcomes. Tag them with keywords, chapter 5, a key concept, a term. Tag them with taxonomy. And then, when you're ready to build your test, search and discover content based upon the keywords that you've tagged that content with. Another great thing, I want my test, I'm a mean teacher, I'm a mean instructor, so I want to make sure that my tests are hard. So I only want to include items that have a difficulty index of 0.8 or higher. And so I'm going to be able to filter by difficulty index or other past performance information. So with that, I've just thrown a lot of information at you. So I'd love to hear what you think. What are your thoughts? Good. So I don't want to take you away from dinner because it's going to start in a little bit, but I do have time for some questions. If you have questions, I'll try and see and call on you. But please ask questions. You sir in the red shirt.
Is this going to remain an LTI?
We are building it as an LTI application. Yes. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Based on that question, if an LTI is the data being transferred into your servers or?
Oh, that's a good question. So, I'm sorry. So the first question was, is this always going to be an LTI application? And the answer is yes. And I'm sorry. Could you please repeat your question?
I guess the concern is being an LTI. Where does data transfer to where self-hosted or virtual campus?
So that's a great question, and we'd love to talk to you afterwards. So the question was, we're a self-hosted installation of Canvas. We can talk to you about that a little bit later. Yes, sir?
As an LTI, will the original quiz engine always remain present then?
That's a great question. So the question was, as an LTI, we're building this as an LTI application, what's happening to current quizzes? Well, when we go live and introduce the new tool into production, the two will peacefully coexist for an amount of time. At that point, we will allow you to migrate. We'll have a migration path, and we're going to make it as simple as possible. And if I can have it be where you're just going to hit a button that says move my stuff, we'll do that. We want to make sure that we provide a seamless way to migrate your question data, not the attempt data, but the question data, from the old tool to the new tool. And then at that point, after that period of peaceful coexistence, we'll turn off old quizzes, and then you can continue focusing on the new tool. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Have you considered a faculty preview of all questions
Have I considered a faculty preview of all questions and answers? What do you mean?
Well, for example, right now, if a faculty member has more than 25 questions, they can't show all questions and the marked answers.
Ah, yes.
So,
You're going to see everything. So yes, you'll have a full preview of the whole test. You sir in the back with the green shirt.
What are your thoughts on points, overall point setting, changing, distributing between the questions that exist?
So the question is, what are my thoughts on point distribution, point settings, automatic distribution among all questions? We're thinking about it, but I promise you we got you covered. We're definitely thinking about how points can be assigned and managed across a test, so you don't have to go assign points to every single question. Ma'am, you in the gray sweater and the cardigan.
is there an option for to have students only be able to see one question at a time rather than to see that whole list?
So the question is, will we provide the option to deliver one question at a time? Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Are the quizzes just for summative assessment? Is it able to give you a formative assessment?
Are we
For
able?
example, you could just give answers straight away rather than you finish your
Oh, yes. So the question is, are we able to deliver a quiz that is more formative than summative, or when a student responds, they get the feedback right away? Absolutely. We're definitely thinking about implementing that as well. We want to make sure that we meet all variety forms of pedagogy. Yes, sir.
What's the movement like from the current tool inside of Canvas to the LTI? Am I going to have to put everything in test panes and rebuild?
No, we want to make it as painless as possible. We've not fully scoped out that solution yet, but it will make it automated to where when you move your stuff, you'll be able to just move from one course to the next and not have to worry about rebuilding anything. Gentleman in the back with the beard. So the question was, I showed the security settings, like one question at a time, et cetera, a single attempt or multiple attempts, and are we going to do the same thing for reviews? I'm not quite sure what you mean by review.
So when a student is done with the test and it shows them their questions that they got correct, incorrect, can you restrict the review so that the student can only see the lab or proctored test and only pull it up one time immediately after the end of the test?
That's a very interesting use case, and I'd love to talk to you more about that. Around the limited viewability of results, or maybe only seeing your results once, or only in a specific place. So yeah, let's talk. All right, ma'am with the like I'm saying, the red hair.
Is there a way to minimize questions between each attempt for a student out of a larger bank so that the first time they get a different quiz than they get the second time?
We're not quite there yet. So the question was, is there a way to limit the views of questions between attempts, or a student can only see one, because when they get a randomized test, they only see that question once? We're not quite there yet, but that's something we'd like to look at in the future. Ma'am. The question is, will we be able to handle rubrics? You betcha. Yes. Gentleman in the plaid shirt.
When you're creating that quiz, there's this option where you set the point value of the quiz.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean the total point value of the quiz will now be independent of the value of the questions?
So the question was around the setting of point values for the quiz versus the questions. No, it'll all still calculate. This is the initial pass, so that the experience is not quite final and how it integrates with Canvas. But we will continue to refine that, so you'll see the consistency in the point value of the sum value of the points of each question and what's displayed in Canvas. Right. Gentleman on the end in the striped shirt.
Wondering if you'll be able to provide the ability to upload questions in bulk when they've been written in a text format. Some instructors like to create all of their questions in kind of a markup and text format and then upload them in bulk rather than have to click through creating every question.
That's a great question. So the question was, are we looking at a way to bulk upload questions in some sort of format? And the answer is yes. We are trying to think about a way that is effective for an instructor to bulk create questions and upload them all at once. Many popular solutions out there have you do that in a document. We're trying to think of a way that's easier than having to learn how to write a marked up Word document. It's possible we may consider a CSV file where you can just have a formatted spreadsheet and upload the spreadsheet that way. But that's something a little bit further down. We haven't quite addressed that experience yet, but we are thinking about that for sure. All right, we've got time for one more question. Yes, ma'am, you. Proctored quizzes. What would you like to know about proctored quizzes? We will continue to have relationships. So the question was, what about proctored quizzes? And we will continue to have we have great relationships with people who provide proctoring services or lockdown browser services, and we will continue to have those relationships so that way you can employ those proctored services and the other security services that you use at your institution. So with that, I'll be around for a few minutes, but I can't thank you enough for staying late on the last day to see this. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Have a great evening, and happy trails, campers.